Hey there. It's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
What do y'all know about Operation Fishbowl? Well, according to Wikipedia, Operation Fishbowl was a series of high-altitude nuclear tests in 1962 that were carried out by the U.S. as part of a larger Operation Dominic nuclear test program. This one right here is the Starfish Prime 1.4 megaton high-altitude nuclear test. Here's a picture of an array of sounding rockets with instruments for making scientific measurements of high-altitude nuclear tests during liftoff preparations on Johnson Island. Why do y'all think it was called Operation Fishbowl? So, allegedly, when they shoot the rockets up into the sky, they would get to a certain altitude, and whenever they hit a certain height, they would just explode. They weren't blowing them up. They were hitting something, almost like a barrier, they said. And allegedly, the rockets were hitting the firmament. Norse, Hindu, Hebrew, Navajo, Inca, Mayan, Islam, there's so many of them that believed in this.
So I was completely wrong. I thought that Operation Fishbowl was like the main name, but apparently it's Operation Dominic, and Fishbowl is just a subset of Dominic. And then there was the Starfish Prime, which we talked about a week ago, where they were shooting up nuclear warheads into the outer space because they're dumb. And that's like below everything else. So this next video, I found it. I think it's pretty neat. It's got some commentary from scientists and some commentary from flat earthers. And I think it actually shows the explosion and what it looked like. So let's check it out.
In 1962, 7 years before they faked the moon landing, Operation Dominic began. A series of 31 missiles were shot straight up into the sky to test how high humans can actually reach. They quickly figured out not far at all.
It seems that whenever they were shooting these missiles up into the sky, they were actually interacting with different layers of this plasma field or this electromagnetic phenomena, and it seems to have fluid-like properties. As it actually hits a certain portion of this force field, if you will, it begins to disperse and seek equilibrium based on the impedance of the electromagnetic layers.
Why is it when we review this footage that these things are exploding? It looks like they're hitting a barrier.
Testing the strength of the firmament, and they weren't able to penetrate it.
What's going on there? What is this? In my opinion, I think that they were trying to find a way to possibly get out. There's a firmament above us.
So everything is as above, so below. Obviously, many people are becoming aware that there's a firmament above that many people are now starting to realize is impenetrable.
No matter what you do, you can't go straight up in the air and keep going.
So if you'll notice, the scientists are saying that the rockets are interacting with the electromagnetic field that we have around our planet. And then the commentators, the flat earthers, are talking about it being testing the firmament. So I'm still a globe propagandist.
So a lot of people are asking,
but how come no one is talking about the effects of the MK Ultra mind control experiment on the Unabomber?
So first, a little background on Project MK Ultra and what it's got to do with the Unabomber, real name Ted Kaczynski. It's the late 1950s, and Ted Kaczynski is a 16-year-old student at Harvard. Extremely bright and gifted, Kaczynski is one of almost 24 students that take part in an interrogation experiment by Harvard psychologist Henry A. Murray that spans 3 years. We later come to learn that this particular experiment was part of a larger CIA-backed program called Project MK Ultra, which researched how interrogators could use mind control and LSD to coax someone into telling them what they wanted. Now, in the Harvard experiment, it's reported that Kaczynski and the other participants experienced highly stressful situations. Test subjects were asked to write an essay about their personal philosophy and how they saw the world, only to have them verbally ripped apart and criticized by interrogators, while the participants reportedly sat under intense lighting with electrodes hooked up to them, according to the History Channel. But did this experiment really lead Kaczynski down the path of domestic terrorism? The short answer is we can only speculate, but overall, it's inconclusive. First off, there's nothing indicating that Kaczynski was given LSD or other chemicals during the Harvard experiment, according to the Washington Post. Some believe the high-stress Harvard experiment might have made Kaczynski's schizophrenia worse. In a 2000 article, one professor who spoke with Kaczynski claimed that the experiments fueled the Unabomber's anger at science and technology, which then motivated his actions. Others say that there's just no clear link connecting Kaczynski's involvement in the experiment with his domestic terrorism, and that other factors should be taken into account.
So gaslighting, smoke screening, and deflection. So, yeah. I had covered this way back when I first started, and I didn't really know, what I was talking about at that time. And it was my first glimpse into MK Ultra, was learning that Ted Kaczynski was very possibly, part of this MK Ultra test. And then I'm learning, that they used LSD and they used these interrogation tactics to kind of control these people, to manipulate them, to turn them into like drones, to try and brainwash them and use mind control on them. And I've come to believe a lot more than I knew at that time. And I think it's just interesting to revisit this particular topic, knowing all of the stuff that I've learned over the last few months, and see it again and see it completely differently. Like 100%. I'm like, yeah, they did that and they're lying about it. Speaking of LSD, I picked up a book. Actually, I didn't pick it up. I mean, I ordered it on Amazon and it came here. I guess I picked it up off the porch. So I picked up a book. I'm actually going to read it. I'm going to read it. And then we'll talk about it just a little bit. Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. I'm super excited about checking it out. And expanding my mind, I guess.
Are stores really this desperate? I was shocked to find that all cans of food at this store had these security tags on the bottom. This is weirdly strange. This doesn't seem right. About a year ago, we found this strange-looking smoke detector in the bathroom of our hotel room.
Okay, let's talk about these one at a time. First of all, the food having little barcodes on and little theft deterrent systems. I am totally understanding of that because of all of the crazy theft that's going on, and people need to protect their investments because those criminals are not being charged and forced to pay these grocery stores back. The owners have to pay for that themselves, and it comes out of their profit, and they're losing money constantly, so they're protecting themselves. On the other hand, I thought that maybe it was one of those stores where you just go in and get your stuff, and when you walk out, it scans everything you've got and it charges you, like that Amazon store where you're like with the hand thing, I guess. I'm not sure, but I thought maybe it was one of those. That sticker, anybody can make a sticker. It takes zero effort. You just go online on Amazon and you're like, hey, make me this sticker. I want it to say this. Boom, it's done. And you just pop them all over the place. Not that scary. The camera in the bathroom, in the smoke detector, there should not be a smoke detector in the bathroom because the steam alone will set it off a lot of times. And that's just a red flag. If you ever see a smoke detector in a bathroom in a hotel, pull that thing down.
Remember this guy, Charlie Manson? He started a cult in the 60s called The Family and manipulated his followers to commit mass unaliving of a group of Hollywood elites in their mansion. Well, the case is even more disturbing than it appears, and yes, the CIA was involved. During that time, the CIA was obsessed with mind control experiments, and they were basically looking for a way to develop what they referred to as a Manchurian candidate, or someone that could be manipulated into unaliving American government enemies. The CIA also thought a little compound called LSD showed great potential in its ability to facilitate mind control. And guess who is confirmed to have been a part of at least 2 LSD mind control experiments during this time? None other than Charlie Manson. In fact, Manson's parole officer, Roger Smith, was a PhD student at Berkeley that had been granted money by the CIA to research LSD use. What a coincidence. Roger Smith set up a free clinic in San Francisco where he administered LSD to Manson and many of Manson's followers. Those experiments later came to be known as a part of MKUltra, and Manson later came to be known as one of the most dangerous and prolific cult leaders of all time. Manson completely brainwashed his victims to do his violent bidding and commit unspeakable acts that they wouldn't have even considered before they met him. This was an ability that the CIA was actively researching and trying to replicate for use by the American government. So do you think Manson's involvement with the CIA was a coincidence? Or do you think it was an intentional experiment to see how far cult followers could be pushed when under the influence of a charismatic leader like Manson? If your mind was as blown by this information as mine, I made t-shirts to commemorate the fact that one of the most violent, dangerous, prolific cult leaders of all time was fed LSD by the American government. Never forget.
This is why I love doing this, because I had zero freaking clue about that. And it's like opening my freaking eyes. And it's fantastic because I didn't know that Manson was part of this MK Ultra test. And then, oh my gosh, I didn't even know. And that is incredible. It just, like, it makes a lot of things make so much more sense when you're like, here's this little tiny bit of information that totally changes your perspective on this thing. And I love learning that. And I think it's fantastic. And if anybody else just learned that, did you just go like I did? Because that was pretty awesome.
These 3 Mandela effects from kids shows are about to make you so mad. Don't say I didn't warn you. The first one is Mr. Rogers. Why they gotta mess with Mr. Rogers? If you've ever watched the show, then you know. It starts out with, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood." Except no, it doesn't. Not in our current reality. In our current reality, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Yeah, this, not the. Like, what do you mean, this neighborhood? I don't even live in that neighborhood. I just think the neighborhood because it's everybody's neighborhood. So yeah, if you remember it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, not this neighborhood, then you probably jumped into the same parallel reality that I did. And then we've got Arthur, everybody's favorite aardvark on PBS. Another theme song. Hey, what a wonderful kind of day where we can learn to laugh and play and get along with each other. Except they never said laugh and play. The line in our current reality has always been work and play, where we can learn to work and play. Those kids aren't working. I mean, the brain had a job at that ice cream shop at that one time, but like that's not the point. So if you remember laugh and play and not work and play, then you jumped into the same parallel reality as I did. And finally, we have Lamb Chop. This is the song that never ends, 'cause it goes on and on, my friend. Did that sound familiar? If it did, then you're not from this current reality, are you? Because here, it's the song that doesn't end, not the song that never ends. That's an important distinction, and I'm mad about it. So which ones of these did you remember? I need to know.
This is the song that never ends. And it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever, just because this is the song that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends.
Y'all are not going to believe what I'm about to tell you, but I'll tell you anyways. So what would y'all say if I told you that this was not a real fish? Take it in for a minute. No, I'm not crazy. I'm about to show you. No, seriously, this that you're seeing right behind me, that's not a real fish. How creepy is this? What you just saw swimming around is a robot fish made by China. My question is, what are they making these for? What if we are being spied on from the shore? What if they have like GPS and satellite built into them and they can see what's happening miles and miles and miles above the shoreline? And if they can do this with fish, what else are they doing it with? Have you heard that theory that there's a bunch of birds that aren't actually birds, but they're more mechanical? Look at this thing. It looks just like a fish. Well, for starters, the general population can literally buy robotic flies. And by the way, there's been people who literally videotaped it who found flies flying around them that were robotic. PigeonBot is the first robot that can bend its wings like a real bird. If the news is saying it, it's been out for a while. For instance, there's a literal, legitimate website up called Pigeons Aren't Real. Look it up.
It took me a minute to find that fish. like somewhere else, because I thought maybe, oh, that was just like a toy that you put in the pool, because it looked like it was in a regular swimming pool, right? And oh, because we like to have fish in the pool, but you can't because they won't survive in the chlorine. But you want to have it in there just for like show, right? No, it actually was at the Beijing Military Expo in 2021, and it was unveiled by the Chinese Army. And it's a spy drone. It is a little machine that looks like a fish and it spies on you. That is absolutely crazy. It looks so real. And yeah, and that's been out for years now. So who knows where they're using it and why and what else. And that little fly thing, those are crazy. Those are absolutely crazy. Little teeny tiny fly spy. Spy fly. It's a spy fly.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Well, here it is again, right in your face. A Nexrad tower in Texas, clearly showing manipulation on two different weather radar. One showing the mosaic chart and the other one is AccuWeather. And people from this area have told me once this happened, insane weather began and then stopped immediately, almost as if this radar pulsed a storm into existence. Even different media outlets are now writing articles about our discoveries, trying to deter people away from this. This article actually secretly linked my YouTube channel in a hyperlink. Please share this video as this stuff is being heavily censored. We need to know what's going on. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So I know that there is cloud seeding. That is definitely a thing. I know that there is the HARP program where they like alter the ionosphere and change the temperature of it, which can manipulate the weather as well. And I know that a lot of people believe that these 5G towers are capable of manipulating the weather as well. And I am not 100% on that, but I'm getting closer to believing those things the more I see about this. And when people start releasing it, and then there's somebody going real quick backlash going, no, that's not what's happening. This is what happened. And I'm starting to see a lot of these things like coming together. There's a correlation there. And it's a little brain melty, but I'm starting to see it. And I know that we do have weather manipulation. We have been manipulating the weather. So why can't they be like, hey, we need a little bit of rain. Let's pop some rain out here. You know, I don't know. It's getting a little weirder and weirder every day. On that note, I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Come on back tomorrow. We'll watch some new stuff. I'll say different things. Look, I lit my candle. It's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.